Hildesheim is a city in Lower Saxony, Germany with almost 100,000 inhabitants. It is located in the district of Hildesheim, about 30 kilometers southeast of Hanover on the banks of the Innerste River, which is a small tributary of the Leine River. Hildesheim, one of the oldest cities in northern Germany, became the seat of the bishopric of Hildesheim in 815 and may have been founded when the bishop moved from Alza to the Innerste, which was an important market on the Hellweg trade route. The settlement around the cathedral very quickly developed into a town and was awarded market rights by King Otto III in 983. Originally the market was held in a street called Old Market, which still exists today. The first marketplace was laid out around the Church Street, Andreas. When the city grew further, a bigger marketplace became necessary. The present marketplace of Hildesheim was laid out at the beginning of the 13th century when the city had about 5,000 inhabitants. When Hildesheim obtained city status in 1249, it was one of the biggest cities in northern Germany. For 4 centuries the clergy ruled Hildesheim, before a city hall was built and the citizens gained some influence and independence. Construction of the present city hall started in 1268. In 1367 Hildesheim became a member of the Hanseatic League. A war between the citizens and the bishop cost dearly in 1519 to 1523 when they engaged in a feud. Hildesheim became Lutheran in 1542, and only the cathedral and a few other buildings remained in imperial hands. Several villages around the city remained Catholic as well. In 1813, after the Napoleonic Wars, the town became part of the Kingdom of Hanover, which was annexed by the Kingdom of Prussia as a province after the Austro-Prussian War in 1866. In 1868 a highly valuable trove of about 70 Roman silver vessels for eating and drinking, the so-called Hildesheim treasure, was unearthed by Prussian soldiers. The city was heavily damaged by air raids in 1945, especially on the 22nd of March. Although it had little military significance, 2 months before the end of the war in Europe, the historic city was bombed as part of the area bombing directive in order to undermine the morale of the German people. 28.5% of the houses were completely destroyed and 44.7% damaged. 26.8% of the houses remained undamaged. The center, which had retained its medieval character until then, was almost level. As in many cities, priority was given to rapid building of badly needed housing, and concrete structures took the place of the destroyed buildings. Fortunately, most of the major churches, 2 of them now UNESCO World Heritage Sites, were rebuilt in the original style soon after the war. During the war, valuable World Heritage materials had been hidden in the basement of the city wall. In 1978, the University of Hildesheim was founded. In the 1980s a reconstruction of the historic center began. Some of the unattractive concrete buildings around the marketplace were torn down and replaced by replicas of the original buildings. In the fall of 2007, a decision was made to reconstruct the umgestaltete Zuckerhut, an iconic half-timbered house famous for its unusual shape. In 2015 the town celebrates 1,200 years from 815 to 2015 with the Day of Lower Saxony. Religions. In 1542, most of the inhabitants became Lutherans. Today Islam and Salafism are a dominant, growing force in the mix, with 28.5% of the inhabitants being Roman Catholics and 38.3% Protestants. 33.0% of the inhabitants are adherents of other religions or do not have a religion at all. The Serbian Orthodox bishop has his seat in Himmelstha. Main sites. The historic marketplace was once considered one of the most beautiful marketplaces in the world. It was reconstructed in 1984 to 1990 in its former splendor, after its destruction in the March 1945 air raid. The more noteworthy buildings in the square are the Knockenhauerams house, known as a beautiful and fine specimen of half-timbered building. Originally built in 1529 and destroyed in 1945, it was reconstructed from 1987 to 1989 according to original plans. The facade is sumptuously decorated with colorful paintings and German proverbs. Today the building houses a restaurant and the city museum. The Backerams house is a half-timbered house which was originally built in 1825. It was destroyed in 1945 and rebuilt 1987 to 89. Today, it houses a cafe. The town hall, erected in the 13th century in Gothic style, partly destroyed in 1945. It was rebuilt and inaugurated in 1954. The Temple House, a late Gothic 14th century patrician house, which today houses the Tourist Information Office. It suffered some damage during the Second World War but was restored and inaugurated in 1950. The Wedekind House, a 16th century patrician house, is characterized by its high, ornately carved stories, including the ledges with depictions of allegorical figures. The adjoining Lunzel House was built in 1755 in Baroque style. The Roland House was originally built in the 14th century in Gothic style. In 1730, the house was remodeled, and an impressive Baroque portal and a large bay window were added. The Stadschanke is a large half-timbered house which was originally built in 1666. The smaller adjoining Rococo House was built in 1730 in Rococo style. The Wallenwebbe House was approximately built in 1600. The Romanesque Hildesheim Cathedral, with its ancient bronze doors and other treasures. The church was built in the 9th century, but almost completely destroyed in 1945. It was reconstructed soon after the war. It is listed as an UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1985. The 1,000-year rose is a reputedly 1,000-year-old dog rosebush, allegedly the world's oldest living rose. It continues to flourish on the wall of the cathedral apse. Museum of the Cathedral, Cathedral Treasure. St. Michael's Church, a noteworthy early Romanesque church in Germany and a unique example of Ottonian architecture. It was built from 1010 to 1022. The St. Andreas, a 12th-century church with the highest church steeple in Lower Saxony. For the top you get an interesting view of Hildesheim and its surroundings. Opposite the church, the upended Sugarloaf, a famous half-timbered house dating from 1509, is worth a visit. The Roma und Peletius Museum, with significant collections from ancient Egypt and Peru and special exhibitions organized every year. The Kreuzkirche was originally a part of the medieval fortifications. It was converted into a church around 1079, severely damaged in 1945 and rebuilt after the war. The Romanesque Basilica Minor Street, Godhard, built 1133 to 1172, which is scheduled to become an UNESCO World Heritage Site in the near future. Furthermore, there are some more site-worthy buildings opposite the church. St. Nikolai's Chapel is a former parish church which was built in a Romanesque style in the 12th century and transformed into a residential building after 1803, and the Hospital of the Five Wounds, which is a large half-timbered house dating from 1770 with a half-hip roof. The Church Street, Lamberty is a late Gothic building, venue of a weekly concert series at market time. The Kehrwieder Turm, built around 1300, is the only remaining tower of the medieval fortifications. Half-timbered houses which were not destroyed during World War II can be seen around St. Gotthard and the Kehrwieder Tower, in the streets Kesslerstrasse, Nolenstrasse, Gelberstern am Kehrwieder, Lappenberg, Brühl, Hintere Brühl, and Gotthardsplatz. Some of them have beautiful wood carvings in the facades, e.g., the Wernisches Haus in Gotthardsplatz and the Waffenschmiedehaus at Gelberstern. The monument of the synagogue was erected in 1988 in the old Jewish quarter on Lappenberg Street, one of the most beautiful streets in Hildesheim. The foundations were reconstructed and give you an idea of how big the synagogue was. The reddish brick building opposite was the Jewish school, Mauritius Gish, a Romanesque church on a hill in the west of the city in the quarter of Moritzburg with a beautiful cloister. The interior of the church is Baroque and the tower was added in 1765. For the forest behind the church you get a beautiful view of Hildesheim with many different churches. Kaiserhaus, Renaissance building in Altermarkt, the oldest street of Hildesheim, rebuilt after the war. The facade is decorated with Roman statues and medallions. Opposite, there is a noteworthy sandstone bay window dating from 1568. Originally, it belonged to a private house which was torn down at the end of the 19th century. The bay window was dismantled before and added to another house in the eastern part of Hildesheim which remained undamaged during World War II. For that, the bay window was removed when the house was remodeled and added to the school at the present site in 1972. Close to the Kaiserhaus, the Alte Kemenate, a noteworthy medieval storehouse reaching a height of 5.5 meters, can be seen behind the school in the street Altermarkt. It has a rectangular basis measuring 6.5 meters by 5.0 meters and a cellar with a vaulted construction. The storehouse, one of the oldest profane buildings in Hildesheim, was built of sandstone in a Gothic style of 15th century. According to other sources it might be even older, i.e. built between the end of the 11th and the middle of the 13th century. The building has 2 floors. As it did not consist of wood, it did not burn down in 1945, but was only damaged and immediately repaired after the war. From 1945 to 1951 it was used for residential purposes. The Alte Kemenate is not open to the public, but you get a good impression from the schoolyard or from the small side street Schenkenstrasse. St. Magdalena's Church is a small church with large lancet windows in the historic street Old Market which was consecrated in 1224. It was originally built in a Romanesque style, but enlarged and remodeled in a Gothic style in 1456. It houses a wooden altar with carvings and other works of art. In the small street Sustenstrasse, a well-preserved part of the medieval city wall with the round tower is worth a visit behind the church. Opposite the church, a tall half-timbered house which was rebuilt in 1981 on the medieval city wall can be seen in the small side street Mühlenstrasse. The facade is decorated with wood carvings. Magdalenengarten, a Baroque park which was laid out in 1720 to 1725, is near St. Magdalena's Church. There are many different kinds of rose bushes, a rose museum, pavilions, Baroque statues, a well-preserved part of the medieval city wall in it, and even a vineyard yielding 100 to 200 bottles of wine per year. In spring, a rare species of wild yellow tulips blossoms in the western part of the park. St. Bernard's Church, a neo-Romanesque church built 1905–07, destroyed in 1945 and rebuilt from 1948–49, houses a Gothic wooden altar, a table dating from the beginning of the 15th century, a part of the medieval defense system consisting of a wall with moats and ramparts which was built around the city in the 13th century, is well preserved. Kallenberger Graben, an artificial lake, is a part of it. It is surrounded by a park with footpaths offering a scenic view of the city centre and of many sights. In April, a rare species of wild yellow tulips blossoms in the park. Stuarwald Castle in the north of the city, about 3 kilometers from the marketplace, was built 1310–1313. Its tower was added in 1325. The chapel, dedicated to St. Magdalena, was originally built in the Romanic style and transformed into a Gothic chapel in 1507. Today it is used for weddings and concerts. Marienburg Castle is in the southeast of Hildesheim, about 6 kilometers from the marketplace. It was built 1346–1349. Sorsum is a former village in the west of Hildesheim which became a part of the city in 1974. There is a site-worthy former domain, founded in the Middle Ages, which was transformed into a residential area after 2000. The Pigeon Tower, built in 1733, a large barn and the impressive manor house dating from 1734 are interesting sites in this rural part of Hildesheim. Marienrode Priory is in the southwest of Hildesheim, about 6 kilometers from the marketplace. It was founded in 1125. The foundation stone of the present church was laid in 1412. The church was built in Gothic style with 3 naves and completed in 1462. The Baroque ridge turret was added in the 18th century. In the church, there are 2 noteworthy Baroque altars dating from 1750 approximately and a Gothic sandstone sculpture of St. Mary which was made in 1460. The organ dates from the middle of the 18th century. A small chapel of the priory, St. Cosmas and Damian, which was built in 1792, was converted into a small Protestant church in 1830. The priory was dissolved in 1806, but returned to the Catholic Church in 1986. Since 1988, it has again been operated by nuns. Near the monastery there is a large fish pond with a scenic view and a tall windmill built in 1839. The area is especially beautiful at cherry blossom time. Other places of interest include the theatre offering opera, operetta and musicals, drama, ballet and concerts. Incorporations: 1911, Moritzburg, 1912, Stuarwald, 1938, Trispenstedt and Neuhof, 1971, Octisum, 1974, Achtermappen, Avenstedt, Einem, Himmelsther, Idsum, Marienburg, Marienrode and Sorsum. Demographics. Population history. Largest minority groups. The following list shows the largest foreign groups in the city of Hildesheim as of 2013. List of mayors of Hildesheim. 1803 to 1843. Georg Otto Ferdinand Lode. 1843 to 1848. Karl Christoph Luntzel. 1848. Commissioned by Oberg, Stark and Winnecken. 1848 to 1852. Amtsassessor Domeyer. 1853 to 1875. Paul Johann Friedrich Beusen. 1876 to 1895. Gustav Struckmann. 1895 to 1896. Hans Eukert, not as mayor. 1896 to 1909. Gustav Struckmann, re-elected. 1909 to 1937, Ernst Ehrlicher 1945–1946, Erich Bruschke 1946–1950, Alban Hunger 1950–1952, Friedrich Legge 1952–1958, Alban Hunger re-elected 1958–1959, Paul Lienke 1959–1964, Martin Boykin 1964–1968, Friedrich Nash 1968–1972, Martin Boykin re-elected 1972–1975, Friedrich Nash re-elected 1975 to 1981, Heiko Klinger 1981 to 1991, Gerald Klemke 1991 to 2001, Gert Mackens 2001 to 2005, Dr. Ulrich Kump 2005 to 2014, Gert Mackens re-elected 2014 present, Ingo Meyer. International relations. Twin towns, sister cities. Hildesheim is twinned with events of international interest. Mera Luna Festival, Europe's most important event of the Gothic and wave scene. Jazz Time Festival on the weekend of Pentecost. Economy. Hildesheim is home to notable multinational corporations, besides many strong medium-sized companies, including Blaupunkt, Bosch, Krupp, Thyssen, Fairchild and Coca-Cola. Transport. Hildesheim has an efficient traffic infrastructure. It is a regional hub for interstate roads and railway, is connected to the motorway, has a harbour at the artificial waterway Mittelland Canal and an airport. Culture. The community has the headquarters of the Serbian Orthodox Diocese of Central Europe. Notable residents: St. Bernward, Bishop of Hildesheim. Ludolf van Soilen, mathematician. Nadine Chance, Playboy playmate. St. Gotthard, also known as Saint Gotthard, Bishop of Hildesheim. Jacob Gudman, Chief Rabbi, philosopher, pedagogue. Julius Gudman, German and Palestinian rabbi, Jewish philosopher and historian. Petra Inman, author and literature scientist. Frederick Hornemann, 1772–18019, German African explorer. Adolf Hurwitz, 19th-century German mathematician. Hans Adolf Krebs, Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1953. Diane Kruger, supermodel and actress, who played in Troy. Heinrich Nordhoff, chairman of Volkswagen and key figure on the VW Beetle's history. Dietrich Pining, a 15th-century explorer of the North Atlantic, was born in Hildesheim. Erich Pommer, film producer, born in Hildesheim. Thomas Quasthoff, German bass baritone singer. Henry Rathbone, U.S. consul, imprisoned in Hildesheim. Rudolf Schenker, guitarist and founding member of the hard rock band Scorpions, born in Hildesheim. Oskar Schindler, German industrial, righteous among the nations, died in Hildesheim. Mike Taylor, Northern Ireland and Birmingham City footballer. The twins Wolfgang and Christoph Lauenstein, winners of an Academy Award in 1989 for the film Balance. Ferdinand von Romer, geologist, born in Hildesheim. Prince Ernst August of Hanover, born in Hildesheim. Gallery.